Good morning. I'm Susan Radley Brown, Director of Accelerated Literacy Learning. When I was a classroom teacher, poetry was one of my favorite genres to teach. I always got excited when April rolled around because it is National Poetry Month, and today, April 1st, is the official start. During our time together, we are all going to keep poetry folders. Here's mine. Inside it, I have different types and shapes of paper. Some are long. You'll remember you saw that yesterday when Lisa did her lesson. And it helps me to just think about a poem looking like poetry, as opposed to other types of writing. I also have smaller pieces, small cards, and it also reminds me that poetry is different. The words can go splatter down the page. They can go lengthwise. And so different paper is kind of like a red flag. This is not like other types of writing. And so, because it's so different to other types of writing, I have a poetic license. Here's my poetic license. And like a driver's license that gives adults permission to drive, my poetic license allows me to write, letting words spill down the page. My poetic license tells me I can put a few words on a line rather than a complete sentence, and it doesn't have to start with a capital letter or end with a period. Today we're going to have fun exploring the rhythm and form of poetry. And so I brought along a favorite poem of mine to use to kind of begin to think about poems that have a finger snapping kind of rhythm or a clapping rhythm. You want to just tap, or I find myself as I read this tapping my feet while I snap my fingers. I'm going to read the poem 2 times. The first time I just want you to listen to the poem, and then the second time I'm going to ask you at home to join me here and chant the poem along with me. Things by Eloise Greenfield. Went to the corner, walked in the store, bought me some candy, ain't got it no more, ain't got it no more. Went to the beach, played on the shore, built me a sandhouse, ain't got it no more, ain't got it no more. Went to the kitchen, lay down on the floor, made me a poem, still got it, still got it. You'll notice that Eloise Greenfield changes the rhythm just slightly at the end by having fewer words on each of her last 2 lines. She actually changes the lines as well, the words in the line. And so to make up for that space, we snap an extra time. So let's try it at home. I'm going to let you see the words, and I'm going to read along here with you at home. Clap your hands or snap your fingers, tap your feet, whatever helps you to get that beat going. Things by Eloise Greenfield. Went to the corner, walked to the store, bought me some candy, ain't got it no more, ain't got it no more. Went to the beach, played on the shore, built me a sandhouse, ain't got it no more, ain't got it no more. Went to the kitchen, lay down on the floor, made me a poem, still got it, still got it. Great. If you want to comment in the chat box, that would be great. Just let me know what you think of that finger snapping kind of rhythm. I also am going back to the poem you looked at with Lorraine on Monday, Sunset. As I said, all poems have rhythm, but the rhythm can be different, or oftentimes will be different. This is not a poem that does not have a finger snapping rhythm, but a kind of slower sound to it. I'm going to read it, and I want you to think about the difference between the two. There's dazzle in the western sky, colors spill and run. The pond mouth lies open, greedy for the last drop of melting sun. And Lillian Moore, the poet, was very deliberate. She could have written of melting sun in a complete line as she did for the last drop, but it would have read differently. The rhythm would be different. By putting each word on a different line, it slows it down it has us pay attention, and the words are going in the same way that the sun is going. The words are going down the page as the sun is going down in the sky and setting. Great. So for today's lesson, we are going to select, choose, cut, and arrange words into a poem. I asked you to bring with you some flyers or menu or folders, brochures, magazines, and I have a couple, and I just kind of flipped through them, and I was randomly looking for words that jumped out at me, words that kind of, that I liked because I maybe liked the sound of them. I was in a nursery a couple of weeks ago here in Houston, and the word chrysanthemum, I saw it on a plant, and I thought, chrysanthemum. I like the way that thumum sounds in my mouth. Or look for 2 words or 3 words, and you say, oh wow, these words, if I write them down, they rhyme. Yesterday, I thought about this last night, that yesterday, Lisa talked about pop lines when she looked at sunset. And what I'm asking you to do, and I realized that's what I was doing, is that I was picking pop words. Those words that jumped out at me, they popped off the page. And so I cut out a bunch of them, and I'm going to have you look at the words I cut out of the magazines and kind of share with you my process in selecting them and what I saw after I collected them. The very first 2 words I saw were together, bountiful balls. I thought, wow, I like that. I love the alliteration. Both words start with the letter B. And then a few pages later, as I continued flipping through the catalog, I saw another B word, bounce, and I kind of cut that out. And as I continued to flip and look at words, I found the word balls. And I actually found it twice. And I realized, oh, I might want to use those in my poem because I could have some repetition going. And that's interesting. And really, as this evolved, I realized that there was a kind of theme or topic, that the words I was selecting could work with the word ball. And in fact, as I looked at all the words, I had happiness. I was in a magazine that was selling Easter products. And I thought, what a clever use of a word. Hoppy, like the rabbit hops. Happiness, I had never heard it. I think it's a made-up word. And I picked hua and hero, cool and glow, crystal teardrop, bam, muy bonitas, Spanish words. And then I also found these, shimmy, toys. Here are those 2 balls. And I found glowing with, fresh, and then bouncy, glittery, glitter-filled. And I thought, all these words are not going to work, even though I like hua, hero, and it has that same alliteration that bountiful balls bounce does. I don't think it's going to work with this poem. The same with happiness. I love that made-up word, but I don't think it works. So I'm going to pull all of these aside, and I am going to go with the repetition. So I started to tape down some of the words that gave me the beginning structure of my poem. Bountiful balls bounce, slow rising. I like the use of a hyphen between slow and rising. It makes it one word. Take 2 words and combine them into one using the hyphen. Stretch, big. And here's a perfect place to stick the first balls. And then I thought, okay, I'm going to use balls here. And I'm kind of making them go down the page in this way, to kind of mirror balls bouncing. And I thought, I'm going to use some adjectives to describe those balls. So I have bouncy. These are teeny tiny words in the magazine, from the magazine I was looking at. And then I have glimmering. And I love glitter-filled, which is another hyphenated word. And then I have glowing with. And one word that really is a pop word for me, sensational. And I thought glowing with sensational doesn't work. Glowing with maybe sensation. So I think I'm just gonna cut off, and that doesn't really sound right either. I'm gonna cut off the with, and I'm just gonna end with glowing, sensational. So my poem reads, bountiful balls bounce, slow rising, stretch, big balls, bouncy, glittering filled balls, glowing, sensational. I am going to show you 2 video clips now, and I want you to notice Lily, my friend, working hard to find and clip her words.
I like the word all because I want my poetry to make sense.
So she's found her first word, and now she's going to continue to look and see what other words she can find.
I'm just looking for words. No, not Alaska. God, I like God.
Lily's so precise, she has to trim that little word, and she's putting it on the table with the other
My
word that she
second word,
found.
I cut it out. Let's see. Let's see. First or right now, that's a bad idea. Let's see. That's a really good idea.
Great job, Lily. We asked you to bring some magazines or a flyer or a catalog with you to today's lesson. What I would like you to do now is to just pick one quickly. We're only going to take a minute or so, and start flipping through it and see if there are any words that jump off the page. Words that if you were to say them out loud, you think, oh, I like the sound of it. Or find a couple of words that rhyme, or just a word that seems interesting, a funny word. And circle that word, or if you brought scissors, quickly clip it out. You can begin, and as you're looking, when you find a word, please send it to us. Let us see what word you selected. Just be deliberate and thoughtful as Lily was in the selecting of her words.
Lisa said dazzle. She loves dazzle.
Someone has just written that she loves the word dazzle. And I think people like that after hearing it the other day. It is a word that just makes us, it's magical. It just makes us think about something glimmering and catching our eye. If you'd add another word or two, that'd be great. And of course, after our session today, you'll have an opportunity to continue to collect your words. And so let's look at the instructions. So using magazines, flyers, menus, junk mail, you're selecting, choosing, cutting out, and then arranging the words into a poem as I did. Remember to make it look like a poem with the words going down the page. Think about the rhythm of the poem. Is it finger snapping, clapping, or is it a slower sound like the poem Sunset? When you're done arranging your poem, you're going to copy the poem you created with your cutout words onto a piece of paper, and then you'll be able to submit it to our website. And for now, we're going to ask you to use my email address, susan@acceleratedliteracylearning, all one word, .com.
Take a picture of it.
And if you have a phone there, you can take a photo of it, a screenshot, and then you can, you'll have it for yourself to remember.
Photo of the poem.
Also, you will need to have an adult take a photo of the poem so that you can submit it to me at acceleratedliteracylearning.com. Our contest begins, and there are going to be many winners at each grade level. So we're excited about the contest. You'll win an award and get a prize. It's going to be a fun month of our contest. For tomorrow's lesson, please bring your poetry file, poetry paper, a writing tool or small whiteboard, an object you can hold in your hand, just a small object. It could be a seashell, a marble, a small toy, something that has some importance to you and means something. And as you know, it's all for one and all for poetry. Stay safe. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks.